in Mexico City, are people talking about what's happening here?
A lot, yeah. Actually, since it has been announced, it's been like a huge topic of discussion all all over here because number one, it's our neighboring country, and number two, and the one thing that's worrying us most is that Mexican politicians tend to take ideas from whatever's going on within the US to apply it not only in Mexico but all over Latin America. So countries like Argentina and Colombia and Mexico were very worried about it because within America, America, the continent, the US kind of like
Influences?
takes, yeah, influences a lot the decisions that are gonna be made. So we are a bit very worried about it. Also, because a lot of people just lost um, a right of their body. So yeah.
I was talking to my friends in Morocco and in France and Italy, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on over there?" They're like, they think that we're ridiculous, that we're stupid. Which is like not new. I think that everybody always kind of thought that Americans were kind of dumb, but also we were like very progressive. So now everybody just seems like, I don't know. It's just like the world is making fun of us at this point.
I mean, to be honest, yeah. And uh, being extra honest with you, I think since you guys had Trump, we don't have that idea of like the progressive America anymore. Like there used to be this very enforced idea of the US being the one that delivers, freedom and progress and democracy.
Sure.
And now we're starting to learn that it's not like that at all.
Now Americans are trying to immigrate to Mexico more than ever, which it's like I get it. I want to do it. um, yeah, it's totally crazy. Honestly, I'm still like sick about it. I'm having a hard time. Like, it still doesn't feel real. It feels like a bad, like Black Mirror episode or whatever that show is called. Black Mirror.
Yeah, I cannot imagine. I was telling my friends the other day, my female friends, I cannot imagine how it would be like to lose my right to choose if I want to. Because, I mean, right now in my life, I could have a risk of a pregnancy. Like, I could have a pregnancy risk. And I am able to stop that pregnancy if I don't want it. And I know that right now, with me almost being 21, starting at college, working, I don't want to have that pregnancy. And now there are a lot of American women and girls my age and younger, and I mean older, but my age and younger, who are not going to be able to have an abortion within a lot of states just because people think that it's killing a baby or that it goes against God. And yeah, how about me going against what I want for my life? I cannot imagine how it feels.
It really feels surreal, and it's like grieving. It really is like
Mhm.
somebody died. If like some, I'll be okay for like an hour. I make a TikTok, like do something really
Yeah.
fucking stupid, and then I like just want to get in bed and lay down and not move. And
Mm.
I'm like deleting all my dating apps and just being like, what am I gonna? Who am I gonna have sex with? Like, what? And this doesn't really affect me right now yet.
Mhm.
I live in California and I have the right to get an abortion if I want to still.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I just
I saw a tweet of one of the Supreme Court judges being like, "Hey, maybe we should also be concerned about same-sex marriage." And that's what scares me the most.
hmm,
Like,
why?
because now that they've so easily, like, I know it has been a long progress, but they so easily just take away a right,
Hmm.
it plants the idea on my head like, okay, so what right are they after next? Like,
Hmm.
who are they after next? Because it's clearly a war on women and like people that are able to have babies, but mostly women.
Mm. I think a lot of us who were skeptical or maybe conspiracy theorists thought, you know, all of this, we're going to take away the right to abortion stuff is just them whenever they need to distract us for anything, from
Hmm.
anything. And I'm going to admit, like, I mean, I was still there at the protests. I won't stand for this. I vote for progressives, you know, but it didn't seem possible that that would be something that they could actually take away. Like, somebody must be fighting that, the ACLU or whoever it is. And now that it's possible, anything seems possible. Like, nothing would surprise me anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's,
probably arriving late to this party, to be honest. I feel like black people have felt this way forever.
yeah, it's just like, is America going back to just being okay, an okay place for white rich men to live? I just, yeah, it's crazy.
Did you see the thing that that I posted today about like Supreme Court today or yesterday ruled like it's okay for teachers to lead prayer,
Yeah, lead prayer in the morning at school.
yeah, or like at football games and events and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like,
I, I saw it
no.
and I was like, okay, but if you put there like a Muslim teacher,
I
I
mean, I think
swear to,
I didn't think about that. Like, can they lead any kind of prayer or just for Jesus?
no, of course, it's just for Jesus. Like, if you put a teacher that's from any other religion that does not pray Jesus,
Jesus.
they're just gonna like it's crazy how a teacher can lose their job if they discuss like I don't know, their preferences, their sexual preferences, but they can just lead prayer and that's okay.
There's a lot of non-Christian kids. You know, I was just talking on
Yeah.
one of these interviews. I interviewed my friend. She's like Jewish and she grew up in Florida, and they used to try to lead prayers during football games for her. And she was like, "No, man, I'm Jewish. You can't like
Yeah.
subject me to this."
The state and the church have no separation anymore, but still,
We're
I think
pretending to
it's,
be this democracy still, but
yeah, I think it's ridiculous to be honest. I don't know if you saw this image. There's people at this pro-life rally or protest or whatever, and they're like, we're gonna adopt your baby. And I saw someone commenting, on that tweet, hey, there's a huge a huge number of kids right now in foster care, like in the system, that need a family. Why aren't you adopting those kids? Because if you are so pro-life and you go on with your sign like, we are gonna adopt your baby, please don't kill it. Okay, number one, it's not a baby yet, it's a fetus. And number two, there are a lot of kids in the United States that need a family that cares for them and loves them and have been like on the system their whole lives.
yeah, they don't care.
And why aren't they adopting them? I think it's ridiculous.
You must have pro-life people there.
Yeah, we do actually. There are some very conservative states, and they go on with their like blue pañuelo.
The scarf,
Yeah, like the blue scarf,
handkerchief,
and and they are part of like
bandana.
the Catholic Church. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Do they do the same thing there? They like stand in front of abortion clinics and like say they're gonna adopt your baby. To me, when I went to the abortion clinic, they invited me to lunch. They were like, "We Jesus loves your baby. Like, come with us." And I was like, "Leave me alone." And they were like, "We'll buy you lunch." And I was like, "What kind of lunch?" Like, and then I was like, "No, fuck off."
I mean, I've never seen it happen or heard about it happening in Mexico City. I know in like very conservative states like Puebla or Querétaro that have very, very deep roots within the Mexican Catholic Church, the groups are more vocal about it and they have like more public demonstrations of their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say it? Um, yeah, but not really Mexico City, not that much.
Hmm. Um, So I was looking at the map for the US, and it's like surprising. I thought that it would be more like half, you know?
Mhm.
Half the states would not be like would allow abortion. But it's really only like a handful of states that are not going to like in one way or another make abortion illegal. Like some of them are just going to be like 100% illegal no matter what, whether you're having an ectopic pregnancy or whatever it is. And other ones will be like, okay, if the mother's life is in danger, it's fine. Or if it's in the first 4 weeks, which is impossible, it's fine, you know? But otherwise, it's a small number of states. So, how many states, first of all, are in Mexico? Because I'm so ignorant.
32.
Okay. And out of 32, there's five that allow abortion.
There's 8 right now,
Eight.
actually, and we have one that's still like in talks at Congress, the state Congress, and that's Sonora, and apparently everything's gonna like work out there, but still it's not a made decision.
Hmm.
There are some states that do not. Okay, so all within Mexico, uh, people cannot be prosecuted for having an abortion.
Hmm.
That's all throughout Mexico. But there are some states that only allow it, for example, if you're a rape victim, or if the mother's life is in danger, but not because you just want to. Like, for example, Mexico City and Oaxaca allow abortions for any reason and not just medical reasons or rape. But there are some other states that only allow it within those conditions. Yeah, it's to have an abortion is legal in 8 states.
Okay. But what, you just said that nowhere in Mexico women can get prosecuted for having an abortion. So,
Mhm.
what do you mean it's illegal? Like, you get a ticket? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, women can't be prosecuted for having an abortion. Here, if you have an abortion, you're going to go to jail for 100 years. But in Mexico, if you have an abortion, it's against the law. You broke the law, and then.
Even if you get an abortion in a state that does not allow it, you cannot go to jail because of it, because it's protected.
So what happens?
You are not able to access an abortion clinic.
That's it?
Yeah. How it
So it's
goes,
only illegal to perform abortions in those states, not to receive it. Because illegal
mm,
means that you have to have some kind of consequence.
yeah, yeah. I mean, in this, there are a lot of states that it's illegal to perform an abortion, but you can still get an abortion, not from a doctor, but for example, taking the pills, the 2 pills, the misoprostol and what's the name of the other one? Well, the 2 pills, you're able to get them. In these states that do not allow abortion, it's harder sometimes, sometimes, depends on the state. It's harder to get access to them, but it's not impossible. And actually, that's how a lot of abortions within those states are performed. They are not performed at a clinic, like you don't go to, I don't know, Planned Parenthood or Marie Stops, that's the one we have here, or to a public clinic. You just take the medication at home and you have the abortion at home.
And you have like a volunteer nurse who comes to your house.
I mean, not everyone has the volunteer nurse that comes to their home, but we do have this. I don't know, I think for the past 10 years, Mexican women and in general people who are able to get pregnant have been more concerned about our access to abortion. So there are a lot of workshops, people who offer to teach workshops about how to be a companion to have a safe abortion. So, for example, if I took one of those workshops, I'm certified to know what to do before, during, and after my friend or myself. Well, if you're a companion, is a friend or a family member has an abortion. So it's not like everybody gets a nurse, but there are a lot of organizations like just people who work together, not even government organizations, just people who group and work together to have this knowledge spread out. So even if you live in a state that's not um, that does not guarantee the access to abortion, you can still feel accompanied and safe.
And so these, what's the program called?
I mean, it's not one, it's a lot of
Okay.
programs, but it's just in Spanish we call it acompañante de aborto, which
Mm-hmm.
translates to like abortion companion.
Mm-hmm. And so let's say I want to become an abortion companion. Do I have to pay to take that class?
Sometimes yes, sometimes you don't. For example, there's a lot of resources online. There's a whole guide
Mm.
from a university here in Mexico that teaches you how to become like an abortion companion. There are people who offer these workshops for a very small fee. Like sometimes it's 100 pesos, which is like $5, or 150 pesos, 200, which it's never like more than $10, and that's going a lot. But there are a lot of free resources to do it, and there are there are also a lot of women's organizations you can come to. Maybe you don't have access to the medicine. Maybe you don't, you're scared because you're alone and you cannot tell your family and you want someone to be with you, but you feel like you cannot trust anybody around you. They'll be like, okay, we have someone who works in our organization that lives in your state that's gonna be able to see you. I don't know, and during this period of time, and you can come to them, and maybe we can help you with the medicine, stuff like that.
And so if I become a abortion companion and then my friend's going to take the abortion pill and I decide, okay, I'm going to use this knowledge and support you, I don't get paid for that, right?
No,
So it's just like
no,
to
I've
help out
never
your
heard.
friends and family and
Yeah, I've
people.
never heard of someone who, I mean, it probably exists, but I've never heard or seen or, yeah, nothing about someone charging.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
I don't
It
know.
doesn't exist here.
I feel like it's a bit more normal for us. Like it comes a bit more natural to us because it's not guaranteed. Like it has never been guaranteed. Even even for me that I live in Mexico City, I know that if I wanted to, I could have an abortion because I have the resources to do it in a private clinic if I want to, or make sure that I have all the commodities in my home to feel safe and, like comfortable. But because there are a lot of poor women and people in Mexico that do not have access to this knowledge and do not have those resources, and maybe it's not, the access is not guaranteed on their state, it's just what we gotta do. Like, you cannot just let women and girls, and even if they're not your friend or your family member, you cannot let someone go through that alone if they don't want to.
I think it's interesting what you're saying because, like, what you're saying is that because, and correct me if I'm wrong because I have no idea, because in Mexico City you haven't always been able to rely on the support of your government, you have made a habit of relying on the support of community.
Of
And so
course.
there are strong. Bitch, don't say of course, because it's not like that here.
You know, I think it comes from, and you said it before, it comes from you guys always having it before,
Mm-hmm.
and having this illusion that you're able to trust the government that you have, like even in the state or the federal government, because America cares for America and whatever. But in Latin America, like especially in Mexico, but all within Latin America, we don't have that. We don't have this, ah, yeah, I trust the government blindly. I mean, of course, there are people who think like that, but it's not the general thought of all of us. So when you grow up, and as an individual and as a society, when you grow up not having anything safe, not having anything for sure, when you get it, you want others to have the opportunity to have it too. And I spoke before today.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with one of my friends who actually is an abortion companion, and she took this workshop with another friend, and I remember that it cost her 120 pesos, which is like $6, I think.
Yeah, nothing.
And it was a 6 hour session, two breaks, 6 hour session, and they get to keep all the material. It was virtual, it was not physical, but they get to keep the material, and then they have like the recording if they want to share it with someone, and they also have this like extra session for like a Q&A if
Mm.
anyone has any doubt or any specific case that they want to like share,
Mm.
and apart from the 6 hours of the workshop. And I remember that I asked her like, hey, how was it, like, was it a lot of women like you? And she told me, yeah, most of us were young women, young women in college or maybe doing their masters. Um, but I was surprised to enter the Zoom session and see also a lot of older women, like
Mm.
women in their 50s, their 60s, being like, because they asked them why they were there, like why they didn't want to become an abortion companion. And they were like, because maybe my daughter or my grandchild does not want to have um, any stranger come up to her when she's going through something that might be hard, and I want to be there for them, and I want to know how to do it, because when I did it, I had no one take my hand.
Mm.
And she told me that, and I was like, yeah, of course, because we're not talking about like the 40 or 50-year-old woman that's taking that workshop did not have the option to have an abortion just because she wanted to, just because it didn't match her plans at that time, And I think it comes from that, the memory that of you not being able to get it, and wanting to make sure that everybody that can get it.
Mm.
I think it comes from that.
So sad. um, did your friend tell you by any chance, like, why she decided to take that class?
Yeah, because my friend, okay, I think I'm able to share this.
Mm.
My friend had an abortion
Mm.
a year ago, and she had by the time she had her abortion, it was not legal yet on her state to have it, so she didn't have like access to a clinic. It is legal now, like
Mm.
it was just passed, I think a month or two ago,
Wow.
but it was not legal back then. So she took it in her home. Um, she took the abortion pills. She waited the period. And she was like, you know what? It was not traumatic for me. It was not awful and scary and horrible. Yeah, it was like physically painful,
Mm.
but it was not the most awful experience that I've ever had. And she also told me something that I've been thinking about. She told me it was not a difficult decision for me. Like the moment I knew I was pregnant, I was okay. I was like, okay, this does not go,
Sorry. It's like, yeah, I get that. But go ahead.
this doesn't go with my plans, and I'm able to have an abortion, so I'm gonna have an abortion. And she even told me like I went to work that day just in the morning to get rid of some urgent stuff I needed to. And then I went home. I had like a warm cup of tea, and then I took the pills, and my sister was there with me. And I don't know if her sister had had an abortion before or not. I didn't ask, but she was with me and she made sure all the time that I was comfortable. She stayed with me the whole time. And when the pain started, because she told me she felt a lot of pain,
Mm-hmm.
like if it was like when you get your period, but
Yeah, severe
much
cramping.
more intense. Yeah, much more intense. And she just like broke down in the floor crying and
Mm-hmm.
screaming. And her sister took her hands and was like, you know what? I'm here and I know it's painful, but it's only for a couple hours. So if you want to scream, just scream. And she told me that even though abortion was not the greatest, like it was not on her plans
Mm.
to get an abortion. It's
It's
not
a funny
difficult.
thing that you say that because it's like that's in nobody's plans. Like it goes
Yeah, I
without saying.
know. But I'm just telling you what she told me.
Sure.
She told me like it was not in my plans to have an abortion, but it's definitely not in my plans to have a baby because I cannot care for them right now and I don't want it. So,
Yeah.
okay, I had an abortion and I am not traumatized by it. She told me I do not have like extreme PTSD, nothing. I just had physical pain and that's it because I was with someone that cared so much about me that she told me all the time, like, if you want to scream, just scream. And she told me, I want every woman and girl that wants to have an abortion to have an opportunity to have that. And if I'm able to facilitate that, like if I'm able to be there with someone, even if it's someone I don't know, and tell them, hey, you know what? Maybe you can lay down. I'm just gonna care for you and be there with you, and you can just bite my hand off. That's okay. I want to do that. And I was like, yeah, because that's what you do. It didn't come to me as like something like, whoa, you're amazing and wonderful. I was just like, yeah, she's a decent human. But
Well,
I know that that comes from me always being surrounded by this type of people, you
yeah.
know? Because maybe in other, within my own city, maybe in other um, environment,
Areas.
yeah, or areas, it's not like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fucking. That's why I kind of get upset because like it's everyone's choice, however they want to have their abortion performed. You know. But to me, it was like a very easy choice. It was like, well, not luckily, unfortunately, I saw my best friend take the pill. I wasn't even there. Just from hearing about it, I was like, oh no, I never want to do that. Like, she's really not the kind of person who complains about pain.
Mhm.
Like me, it's like if I have a scratch on my arm, I'm like, I'm like, ouchie. But she's just really not like one of those people. So if she was telling me that it was painful, then it must have been really painful, you know. And she was up all night, and I mean, the way I imagine it is that it's essentially your body's going into labor to expel this pregnancy. I mean, that's what severe cramping is, right? Even when
Mhm.
you're having contractions, that's what severe cramping is, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so for me, it was like a very easy, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have a
Mhm.
full night of my life in pain dedicated to this memory, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and then your other options are have the surgical abortion awake or asleep, you
Mhm.
know? And it was like, asleep. Like, yeah. um, and so I did that, and really it was like, it was very easy. I went to sleep telling jokes to the nurses about how like I didn't know what they prefer, so I just shaved everything and like I wanted to make sure it was like clean for them, and my lesbian friends told me that it's polite to like shave everything. I mean, I was just like making ridiculous jokes, but they laughed a lot. And then
Yeah.
when I woke up, the nurse like came in my room and she told me like, "You're done." And I just wanted to tell you thank you because like we have a really hard job and it gets really dark here, and you were our last patient of the day and you made us all laugh, and like it's really nice to go home. And I was like, oh, I was so high. I was like, I'm surprised that I remember that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I got to like lay down for like half an hour or whatever, and then you go home, and that was it. Like, I didn't feel anything, and I don't have any like trauma. Like, it's nice that people want to do that for each other, but I'm also just sad the way people are making it sound like the abortion pill is like a great choice, you know? It's not the best choice, and people should have the opportunity to have access to the best, least traumatic choice possible, because it's already so traumatizing. Because no matter what, like what your friend said, like she made a decision and it was very easy for her. Right when I got pregnant, I knew immediately I can't have a baby right now. I can't. Like I can bear, I don't know, like I can't. And I don't want to, you know? I don't want to have a baby right now. But still, I was terrified.
Of
I
course.
was really scared. And also, I felt like I fucked up. I think about when women have miscarriages, how they internalize that as like a failure and I mean, of course, it's a loss. Like, you were attached to the idea and the feeling of this pregnancy, and now it's gone, you know? So there's a loss there. But still, it's like so not normalized and so stigmatized and so not spoken about that even though it's extremely common, like all women have miscarriages, we don't realize, nobody really talks about it. So we walk around now, I guess, like people are becoming a little bit more educated about it, but it's just beginning the education, just the normalization of it. So still, we're like it feels like we broke it. Something else interesting, I have like a new, or maybe I'm over it now, but I had like a new addiction to like, I don't have TV, but there's like this show, I guess, on E. Have you heard of this channel, E?
Yeah, the Kardashians one.
Okay. And then I guess it's a show called The Hollywood Medium. You heard about this show? Okay. So it's like this young 19-year-old white boy. Maybe he's gay. Maybe he's queer. I don't know. It seems like. And because he gets very excited when the only celebrities that he recognizes are like gay or like drag queens, like gay icons. So that's why I'm guessing that he's gay. But anyway, he communicates with the dead.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's addicting because like it's obvious that this kid has something, you know? Like, you know, believe in it, don't believe in it, but like he has something, and he's like breaking everybody down that he meets. And one of the things that he was doing, one with Carmen Electra, because he like does it with celebrities a lot. And he was doing one with Carmen Electra, and he was talking about her mom, and he said, your mom wants you to know that she's with the baby, and that the baby was from a miscarriage, but that, you know, she's with that baby now. But it really made me think, like, okay, let's pretend that fetuses have souls. So you make a kid, and because in my religion, this baby doesn't become a soul-carrying person until it's born. That's when the soul drops in. So I never even considered that was an option, because that's not what I was taught. But let's imagine there really is like a sentient, you know, like some kind of like life in there. Would I still have the abortion? And I really had to like be real with myself about that. And this is going to sound horrible, but the answer that I came with was, yeah, I think I would still do it.
Okay, so I'm not very religious, to be honest. Does my fetus have a soul? I don't know, but I know I have one, and I know I cannot care for another person right now. It would be so selfish of me to think that, oh yeah, like I'm gonna bring this baby that I don't want to into the world. And that doesn't mean I don't want to have a baby when I'm 30, for example, or 35. But right now, I don't want to bring someone that's just gonna make me unhappy and I'm gonna make them unhappy, you know?
Did
So
you
if I
see
have to pick a soul, I pick mine.
selfish bitch?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty.
Did you see the post that I did about the speech from like I did a speech and it was like at
Yeah,
a
the protest.
protest
Hmm.
and it was like trying to explain to people what life looks like in Morocco in a place when there was never legal abortion. And I tried to explain that children are homeless and they live on the streets and they do drugs and they steal. I mean, I took some parts out of the video because I didn't want to make it like alarmist, shocking. You know, I just wanted to give like a taste.
Hmm.
So I focused on like the homelessness and the drugs. I didn't talk about the rapes and the sex trafficking and the
Hmm.
all of the horrible stuff that happens. And some people said it's better to be alive. It's better to live and have that experience than to get murdered or whatever. Like to not live. And it really made me feel like, wow, this is someone who's like never suffered in their life before.
Yeah, of course.
Like people commit suicide for online bullying.
Hmm.
You know, it takes a lot less than I was like people in those situations, kids in those situations pray for death. Like I'm not going to say all of them, I don't know, but some for sure.
Yeah, of course.
And it just makes me so sad the way these people think. They just assume that they know and understand everything, and they just don't. And it's like not worse for me to abort a child. Sorry, motorcycle. Um, it's not worse for me to abort a child that I can't take care of because that's what we want, right? That's what you're supposed to want
Hmm.
when you want kids to like offer them the world.
Hmm.
Um, but I just don't understand how there can be just such different lines of thinking, you know? And I was even trying to watch a YouTube video yesterday where we're like, pro versus con, like, or against. And they're so filled with lies. Their brains are so filled with lies. And normally I think, I don't know, maybe I'm the wrong one, you know? But at some point, you have to look around you and say, these are the countries that legalize abortion. These are the countries that don't. Where is the quality of life higher, specifically for women and children? The proof is obvious. Like it's not it's inarguable. You know? In all of the countries that allow abortion, women get higher educations, they have better jobs. When they do create families, they're able to support their children and limit the amount of kids that they do end up having, which allows all of their children to benefit from a better quality of life. Um, and there's like less child homelessness, less, the foster care systems are not overwhelmed. That's just what happens when abortion is legal, because at least, like, sometimes kids are going to get born, that people didn't want, and that's going to be a problem no matter what. But it's so, uh, it decreases exponentially when women have choices.
Hmm. Okay, maybe I'm gonna say something that's a bit controversial and hard to hear, but hearing this argument of it's better to be alive in any sort of condition than to just be killed for a child or a mother, but especially a child, to live in the streets, to starve every day, to have to work from the youngest age possible, to be exposed to sex trafficking, to be exposed to rapists, to drugs. It's just slow death. And it's worse because someone who actually, like, we know for sure that someone who has feelings, who's able to have sensations, to feel pain, someone suffering like that, why would it be better for them to be alive and not killed? And to me, that just the killed part sounds ridiculous. But why would it be better? It definitely comes from someone who has never struggled, but also has never paid attention to struggling people,
Oh my
and
God,
and
that's
who
so
has
true.
never just, I don't know, stuck their head out of their butt and be like, okay, maybe life is not as perfect everywhere as it is on my white suburb,
Mm.
you know?
It's funny because when we talk about like trauma, people say like anything can be trauma. You know, if you're a rich kid who had married parents who loved you and you grew up in a nice house in a nice neighborhood and you got a good education and you were good in school, you could still be traumatized by the one time your parents, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that could still have caused something in you and that you need to go to therapy for. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
like you're not supposed to compare. Like when people are like, "Yeah, but I don't want to complain about my problems because other people have bigger problems." It doesn't matter because it still affected you.
Hmm.
But at the same time, if you can be affected by something so small, you have to understand that the effect of something much larger is larger.
Yeah, and I think it's important here to make a difference, or to separate what's a structural disadvantage from a personal trauma, you know? Because yeah, a rich kid with married parents and a great academic life and great opportunities can still be traumatized because they, whatever, they can still be traumatized because of whatever. But they don't experience the same type of obstacles that, for example, a black kid in a poor neighborhood with a single mother or a single father, and a drug problem within the household, I don't know, coming from a brother or a sister, or maybe a kid who had to cross the border with their parents, and now they only have one parent. And you know what I'm saying? Like, there are structural advantages and privileges, and we are not asking people to be stripped from them and to be like, yeah, take my privilege away, I don't want it. That's not useful for anyone. What's useful, actually useful, is okay, I have this privilege, I have resources, I am a great communicator, I don't know, I work in this organization, I work in the government, I am able to redirect resources for communities that need it the most. Or maybe I can use my social media platform because I have a lot of viewers to educate my audience on topics that are important, you know? I I don't want people to be like, "Oh, but I'm not going to this really expensive college because some kids are not able to go to those colleges." No, go to that college and get your degree, and when you have your degree, use it to help the communities that are not able to access those opportunities. You know what I mean? And it's not like, oh, I'm not able to complain because some people suffer more. No, you are able to complain. You just gotta separate. Okay, I had a lot of structural advantages because of my race, because of my family wealth, because of the state I live in, that other people don't. What can I do to help those people? Mhm,
Hmm.
mhm.
So you were telling me that there are some changes recently in Mexico regarding
Yeah,
abortion.
we had this state, the state that my friend comes from, Guerrero.
Shout
Um,
out Guerrero.
Shout out Guerrero.
Guerrero.
There's Acapulco there, used to be very famous place. Still famous, still famous. Um, so about a month or two ago, they had the iniciativa, like the law project,
Initiative.
the initiative on their Congress, and they voted. And against some odds, not against all odds, but against some odds, because Guerrero has their governor works for Morena, which is the party of the president, and the president has a more central right agenda than a left agenda, and
Mm.
that's a huge discussion there. But
So
against,
Republican, essentially. You have a Republican
um,
president.
yeah, I mean, he
Not Trump, you
markets
have like Bush.
a bit, yeah,
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
Bush was like pretty moderately right. He wasn't like full tilt extremist crazy. He was
yeah,
just like conservative and stupid, but like mostly
yeah,
conservative.
both, yeah, yeah, both.
Both are parallel. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that party rules over Guerrero and a bunch of other states. Like they have a majority, but still the votes came in, and it is now legal, and it has to be like every woman and person in Guerrero that wants to have an abortion should be able to get it public and free. And
Wow, free.
yeah, I know
Abortions
that
are
you
free?
guys, I know that you guys don't have this, but okay. In Mexico, we have something that's called El Instituto Mexicano del Seguro Social, which is basically Social Security.
Sure.
And everybody who works has the right to be signed up for IMSS. That's how we call it, IMSS. And IMSS offers basically every treatment that you need for free. It has a huge problem that it lacks a lot of resources. Like it needs much more resources than the ones they are dedicated to it right now, the ones that are dedicated to it. But yeah, you can get it if you want it. Also, you can get birth control, like any sort of birth control, no matter if you want to have the implant, the pills, the patch, the little T thing,
Yeah, IUD.
the IUD. You can get any of those. It's hard to get an appointment,
Hmm.
but when you do get it, it's for free.
What do you
That's
mean
why
it's
it's
hard?
called universal.
You
Yeah,
can't
because
just go to
no,
the
I mean,
clinic.
imagine there's like 300 people that want to get an appointment, and there's just 30 appointments. That's what I
Sure.
mean.
But when you say hard, you mean it takes a long time?
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Like what? What's a long time?
It depends. Here in Mexico City is not that long. Like you can get an appointment 1 or 2 weeks in advance. But in some other states, like especially not central, but like rural areas, there are not that many clinics. There are not that many doctors.
And so,
Mhm.
like 3 months, a year, 2 years? What do you mean?
Yeah, like 3 months, 4 months, maybe.
Wow. But
Mhm.
still. And so, what if you wanted to pay? What if you were like, well, you know what? I have the money. Like, I'm just going to pay. You can bypass the system of the.
No, you
the
go to a private clinic. If you want to pay, you go to a private clinic and
okay.
you avoid, like,
The wait.
yeah,
Because, I mean, if you're having an abortion, it's kind of a time sensitive thing, you know?
yeah, of
It's not
course.
like you can just be like, I'm having an abortion, but, book my appointment for next month, even.
Well, in here, to be honest with you, uh, especially in other states that are not Mexico City, it's easier to go with the pill. It's much easier to go with the pill.
If
And
you ever have to have an abortion, please don't take a pill.
it's more, I think, normalized for us
Hmm.
because it's also much more accessible. What the fuck is that?
Sounds like I'm guessing a fire truck honking at somebody, telling them to
Okay,
get out of the
California.
way. Okay, you said it's more accessible. The pill is more accessible, so
Yeah.
more people take the pill there. I mean, it's more accessible here too. It just fucking hurts, you know. And
I
people,
mean, yeah. but mm, it's easier, it's more accessible, it's less expensive. So
What do you think it costs for an abortion here?
to have an abortion,
Like the surgical abortion.
the surgical abortion, shit, I don't know.
Let's just play a game.
I'm gonna say about $300, $500. Shit,
So $500. How much is the pill?
600 pesos. The most expensive one that I've seen is 800 pesos.
Which is how much in dollars? Like
In
50?
dollars?
10?
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
It's like $50, right?
no.
Or like 30,
Let me check.
25.
I'm gonna tell you the exact
Because it's
number.
like 19, right? It's like 19 pesos per dollar.
Yeah,
So
I think
20
20.
times, whatever, third. Um,
It's
Ow!
$32.30.
You're so
Ah,
crazy. Sorry,
don't
Zep.
yell in my ear.
Zep scratched my foot.
It's 32 pesos and 30 cents.
$32.
Yeah, $32.30.
So how much is it here?
What, the pill?
Yeah.
You want me to guess or you want me to look it up?
No, I want you to guess. I know.
I'm gonna say $150? $200? No, no, I refuse. I refuse. If it's more expensive than $250, I'm gonna quit.
I saw a price yesterday that was $300.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. That was the price that you thought for the surgery. And I'm guessing you guessed high because you were like, okay, it's America. Like, I'm
Yeah,
going to guess
yeah,
high.
my exact thought.
Yeah. It's
Shit.
crazy. $300 for a pill. And like, I get it. People in the United States, in some states, make more money than people in Mexico, blah, blah, blah. But it's still a lot of money. Like, when I needed my abortion, I didn't have the money, and I borrowed it from a friend.
It's crazy. That's like the budget that a family has for like a week at Disney. I mean, a Mexican family. I don't know. It's crazy
That's the
for me.
craziest reference.
When
I mean,
when
how
I
much is
went,
your rent? What is your boyfriend or whoever, like someone who I know that a lot of people live with their parents still, but like what
mm,
what
my
is
boyfriend's rent is okay. It's about 4,000 pesos.
so 4,000
So
divided by 20?
it's $198.76.
What?
It's $198.76.
In Mexico City?
Yeah, but my boyfriend rents a room. My friends rent an apartment, and their rent is about 12, I think. So,
Still gonna
okay,
end up being like $400?
$596. Shit, I can't believe it. That's a month's rent in a really nice area for a decent sized apartment. Shit, I'm
Bitch,
losing
I'm
it.
moving to Mexico tomorrow. Do you know how much my rent is?
Okay, don't. But
Why not?
because people from the US moving to Mexico is what makes our rents more expensive. It didn't
but
used to be 12,000 pesos. It used to be like
but
six.
you love me.
No, I do love you, but okay, do move back here, but don't invite anyone. Don't bring anyone.
Don't start a trend.
Yeah, don't start a cult.
How much
No,
is
but
my rent, bitch?
I'm I'm gonna say that your rent is about $1,200 a month.
1,500.
1,500.
And it's low. And I don't have a parking space or anything like that. The parking space is $250 a month.
Okay, that's crazy. I mean, we do have crazy rents in Mexico City, but we don't earn dollars, we earn pesos. But still, an abortion pill costing
A month's rent.
a month's rent?
That's crazy.
I remember that when
I
I
mean,
first.
let's just pretend it's here with our prices. It costs me a yeah, it cost me a third of my rent.
I remember when I first ever went to the US, I went to New York for 10 days with a friend, and my parents gave me around $600 to just like go have fun.
Yeah.
That's like I don't know, 2 or 3 days to eat and an abortion pill. Look, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
knew you guys had a lot of issues with your medical assistance, but it's I cannot imagine like a bill from a, oh, I know. I don't want to. No.
I thought of another question.
Hmm.
So, right now, we're in a situation where people are protesting everywhere.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, I've been at all of the abortion protests, and now I just don't even have the heart to go, really. And I'm so happy that everyone's still going. I'm not trying to be like, nobody protests, who cares? You know, I don't want to influence people, but it feels like it's too late to protest. It's already broken, you know? And we've been protesting this whole time, and obviously it's all been leading to this, so it was for nothing, kind of. But that being said, in Mexico, people protest, and things change for the better, right?
Yeah, most of the times, yeah, when they do change.
My question is, what do you think it is that caused the change? Is it the protests? Is it voting? Is it violence? Is it people who are already established in government? Is it like what do you think actually makes, I mean, I'm sure it's like a little bit of
Mhm.
everything, you know? But what do you think has like the biggest impact?
Okay, I've never participated in a protest in
The
the
US?
United States, and I have participated in a lot of protests here in Mexico, but we are prepared to take direct action if needed. Not everybody, but for example, let's take Women's March. I know there are gonna be police officers there. I know they're gonna have like tear gas, and they're gonna like on my face because they don't like it when women protest. If you are seen doing something suspicious, they can just take you and they can hit you and blah 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 blah. And I know that, and I'm not gonna say I've never been scared of it because I am. Like, I am scared of going out to protest and then not coming back. But there's this idea, and it's a thought I really like. In Spanish, it's los derechos se ganan en las calles. You earn your rights
Right,
on the
in the
street.
streets.
Hmm. And I think we have that, not that exact phrase, but that idea more within us because we never had anything for sure like you guys had. Like there was not access to abortion. Women had to go and fight for it. And when I mean fight, not all of them, of course, but it was not just like, okay, I have a sign and I'm gonna yell. 'Cause that's a very valid form of protest. I want to say I'm not bashing on it or anything, and it's very necessary. But there are groups of women, for example, here in Mexico, that wanna have the attention of the, I don't know, the Women's Institute, and they don't get it, and they don't get it, and they don't get it. So what do? We're gonna go ahead and we're not gonna fucking move until we get to speak with someone. A lot of people see our protests as violent because there are like viral pictures right now on Twitter of women like being attacked with tear gas and still like bashing on the doors, and I was there. Like I didn't take those pictures, but I've taken throughout the years a lot of pictures of women having tear gas attacks, and women being hit by cops, and women hitting a cop because they want to defend their friend, whatever. And it's just, I know it's not everyone that thinks like that, because there are a lot of women who are against violent protests, but just like asking for something on Twitter, or just sitting there being pretty, waiting for someone to show up to talk to you about your needs or your rights, it's not enough sometimes. It's just never like, we have this phrase in Spanish, nunca quitar el dedo del renglón, which directly translates to like not,
Take
um
your finger off the bell.
yeah, exactly that. So I think it is that, it's that, and it just, I think we are a bit more angry, to be honest, because we have shittier conditions, and we also didn't have, you guys come from a right that you lost. We come from no right.
Yeah.
So I think that the starting point it's different.
I agree. I think that because even now, like, I hope not, but I think with every protest I've attended, it's been what you would call peaceful and a lot of
Mhm.
people with signs and like trying to be diplomatic. And even then, cops still come and spray you and beat the shit out of you,
Yeah.
even when you're not doing anything wrong. You're just standing there. Um, but after a few days, it dies down. The
Yeah.
longest I've ever seen protests go for, and I'm sure when like, first the first women were protesting for women's rights and when civil rights protests were going on, I'm sure it was like much longer. But except for the BLM protests that happened during quarantine, I've
Mhm.
never seen protests that go for more than like one weekend, 2 weekends, And it's always like when people are off work and they can. And even the Women's March, it's once a year. And the first year it was like, poof, like an explosion. And the second year, maybe it was less than half the people from the first year. And the year after that, it was even less and less. And I
Well,
think that it's because people protest and they don't see a lot of change happen after the protest. Like everybody comes out and they got their signs and their face paint and their hats and people are excited and then nothing really happens. And it sucks because I
mhm.
want to believe in peaceful protest and the power of peaceful protest. But I know that even during the civil rights movement, like stuff didn't really start happening until like black people put their bodies on the line and basically allowed themselves to get beat up by the police, and it was all over the news and everybody was like, what the hell is going on? But people needed to see that. And so I think that what you're saying is that we're coming from a place of having the rights. So for now, it's a we're fighting this idea, but we don't actually understand what the idea looks like in practice.
And that's what I was saying about going to a protest is not enough. Okay, I am very, very passionate about the women's women's rights. So I go to the protest, but every day on my life, I try to make sure that I am doing the best out for women. And I participate with organizations that, for example, work with sex workers to guarantee um, that they are the safest possible, and those kind of things. I'm not saying that everybody needs to join their local political organization, but just join your neighbor.
So what does that mean when you join? Like, what do you do?
What do you want to have?
Well, what let's just say yours. You're very passionate about like women's rights, and so what do you do in that organization that like helps sex workers, for example?
Okay, so
How
for
do you
example,
participate?
sex work is very penalized in Mexico, and it's very arbitrary. But I mean, bottom line is sex work is work and it's never gonna die down no matter what. So what can we do to make sure that sex workers are not only safe, but they have the highest possible life quality that they can. So it goes from just collecting clothes that people don't use anymore but are in excellent conditions. So we do that. And for example, a lot of sex workers are women with kids and they cannot like take care of their kids at night because they are working, or even some of them work during the day. So it's like, okay, maybe we organize what I did when I was younger, and I was in high school. We organized like fun classes for kids, and it was just like, okay, we are gonna do homework, and we're gonna sing, and we're gonna dance, and we're gonna paint, and like we're gonna have fun because you are a kid and you deserve to have fun. And we have, for example, in Christmas, there's this tradition in Catholic countries called posada, which is basically a party, and we break a piñata and have dinner together, and it's really nice. So we have that because most of them are not um, able to have it with their families, or they don't have the resources to organize it, things like that. So I'm very like passionate about that. Okay, so with everything that we've discussed, I think it's a mixture of people protesting hard, like people going by all means so they are heard. And then,
Every day for how long? What are we talking about? How consistent is it? No, seriously, because it's really important, the details, because people are like, we went out there, we did it hard for 2 days, and they're like, nothing changed. So it's like, I know you said, like, never take your finger off the bell, but what does it mean to protest hard? Like, is that like, what did you see yourself? Like, because I remember when I went to Mexico City, there was like a part of the city that you weren't supposed to go to because there was like these angry women protesting there and it was dangerous. And I wanted to go, and but still, people were like, "Don't go there. It's crazy there." And so obviously there was some kind of like small war happening against the city there from these women, and it seemed like they were there every day for months.
so that you're talking about was the Ocupa, and that specific case was because they actually took the building. Like I mean, they were protesting, and then to put it simple, they let themselves in,
Sure.
and the building was taken, I believe, 5 months. I'm not quite sure, but like the intense Ocupa activities were there for like 5, 6 months. But I cannot tell you that 2 months of intense protesting guarantees abortion.
No, I'm just wondering because you
It's
said
years.
real. Mm-hmm,
It's years. And for example, it's in November, when we fight against violence against women. Because there's the Women's March, that it's the commemoration of International Women's Day, or the uh, Women Workers Day, whatever. And then on November, I think it's the 27th, that it's the day against violence against women. And I've been on this earth almost 21 years.
mm-hmm.
And of those 21 years, I've heard of women organizing and going out to protest, I think, for the last, I don't know, since I've been conscious of it. So let's say like
15.
15 years. Is that
Okay,
it has grown go it has grown bigger, because contrary to you guys, our women's march gets bigger and bigger and bigger every time. Not only in Mexico City but every state. There was this beautiful of in Veracruz. There was a single girl last year. I'm not talking about like 8 years ago. No, last year, um not last year, in 2020, there was a single girl protesting on Women's March. Like, she herself was the march. Um, Next year, this is the part that's not beautiful of the story. She got killed because
By who?
by feminicida.
The police.
No, like someone.
Huh. So it
You
was
know,
not to do with the women's march. It was just like
no,
coincidence.
yeah, she was killed
Okay.
because 10 people are killed in Mexico every day.
10
She was
people or
killed.
10 women?
Oh, what?
10 people or 10 women?
10 women. Yeah, 10 women. I'm sorry.
In and in
10 women.
Mexico, not Mexico City.
No, Mexico.
Okay.
So then next year, the plaza of that city was full of women that were like, how come this girl who was the only one protesting is not here now? How come? And then it was full of women. And of course, it doesn't make the same noise to have 10 people than to have 100, than to have 100,000, you know?
Sure.
And I remember like every time that I go to Women's March, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it makes more noise. So politicians
It's like
are
Burning Man.
like, what?
Have you heard of Burning Man? Hold on, I'm gonna
Yeah,
move because I'm losing so much light now.
the festival, yeah.
Yeah, so every year, like Burning Man used to be this tiny little festival in the desert that nobody knew about. And now it's like fucking Coachella. And
Okay,
everybody's mad about it. And so I'm just saying, this is like your festival.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like Burning Man, but instead we burn police cars. Yeah, so because it gets bigger, it gets to the ears of representatives. And what do representatives want? Votes. So what do they do? What do they do? So they take this cause and are like, hey, yeah, I want to have this
Yeah.
idea. I want to put it on the table so we can vote for it. And people who are protesters, I don't know if you guys do this, but we have this like audiencias that if you have like a huge issue that you want to talk about with diputados or senadores, which are like Congress people.
Mm-hmm.
So they have activists and people who belong to the movement have this audiences with them, and they're like, okay, so this and this and this and this and this is going on, and this is what we need. And they present that, and then the senator or whatever takes the project, and they're like, hey, are we voting for this? And if there's enough noise on the street, like both literally and metaphorically, if there's enough noise on the street, they're like, okay, yeah, with this we gain sympathizers and whatever.
But don't they
So
just
yeah,
lie?
I mean, not all of them.
That's the problem we have here. I saw my friend sent me this thing today. The problem we have here is that like people say they're gonna do stuff and then they don't do it, and they just do it so that they just say they're gonna do it so that you vote for them. You know?
I mean, we have that, but we also have people who want to take part into politics because they like their cause matters to them. You know, and then
You
you guys also have it, but
see this? I'm gonna read it to you.
yeah,
But
I see.
basically, it's a tweet that says it's from Obama.
Mhm.
And it says, today, the Supreme Court not only reversed nearly 50 years of precedent, it relegated the most intensely personal decision someone can make to the whims of politicians and ideologues, attacking the essential freedoms of millions of Americans. And then this other guy, K. Thor Jensen, he wrote, hey man, this you? And it's an article from the New York Times. And it says, but even as Mr. Obama has delighted in abortion rights advocates, he has dialed back some earlier ambitions. In 2007, he promised Planned Parenthood that the first thing I'd do as president would be to sign the Freedom of Choice Act, which effectively codifies Roe v. Wade. Now, he says, the bill is not my highest legislative priority. as he put it at a recent news conference. So,
Yeah, we have that too.
yeah, my point is that politicians, they'll just say whatever they need to get elected, and
Yeah, but
then
if you put enough pressure on them, it just cannot be ignored, you know?
I mean, I guess when you're president, it's kind of people on both sides are depending on you. You know, it's not just the people in one state; it's
Hmm.
the people in all the states, and some of them are more conservative, and some of them are more. So it's not going to be. There's never going to be enough pressure because if half or more people are happy that he said that and that it's not his priority. You know. Um, so I guess for like if in California, Governor Newsom recently said that he was going to put Roe v. Wade in the Constitution of California, which I didn't even know existed, and that it would not be touchable.
Hmm.
I don't know what that means, but he knows that this state is blue
Hmm.
and that people will lose their minds here, and he wants to get reelected,
Hmm.
um, and so that's what he's saying. But I don't know that he actually gives a shit. But yeah, I think what you're saying is true, that here there would be a lot of pressure, you know.
Yeah.
But if he was president of the United States, I think there would be a lot of pressure on both sides. There would be a
Hmm.
lot of pressure to ban abortion and a lot of pressure to make it legal. So then it's like, what do you do, you know?
Yeah. That's why there's not access to abortion all throughout Mexico, you know?
Sure. But yeah, it's just freaking crazy that that's happening here. Like, I didn't know. Like, this is new to me. This, like, state by state, you know? Like,
Hmm.
actually, it's very new to me. Like, within the time of COVID and how the rules were different in every state. And, like, Florida was doing one thing and California was doing another thing. Like, we lived in one of the most strict COVID rule states. But Texas and Florida, for example, they were like, mask, no mask, whatever, you know? um, I thought that like the law was the law for everybody. And I guess I'm happy because it gives us more options, at least within our country, to if we really wanted to have more rights, we could, or the rights that we want, we could move to that place. Um, but yeah, it feels bad that like this particular law doesn't protect everyone. And like I hear what you're saying, but it just doesn't seem so it doesn't seem like there's a direct road. Like do this and you will achieve this objective. You know, it's just
Of
like
course.
we want the right to abortion to be in the Constitution, like essentially bodily autonomy.
Hmm.
Like what is the law that made it so that they couldn't force people to get vaccinated? You know? Whatever that law is, that should be the law that protects us to have abortions if we want to. It should be the same thing. Hold on one second. I'm gonna get my charger because if I lose this whole recording, I'll lose my mind.
Yeah, okay, go get it.
Make it a little wider. It's like a computer screen. Perfect. Oh, I almost matched the light. I'm a lighting expert.
You are. Okay, so I don't know what I wanted to tell you was that the root cannot be the same because the history and the political and social context are not the same. Like it's far more alike
Mm-hmm.
between, I don't know, Mexico and Colombia, or Mexico and, let's say, Guatemala, or Mexico and within women's rights Argentina, but not with the US. The development has been different
Well, you stole the
because of
word from my mouth
because
because I was gonna say. Go ahead.
because you have been the economic power of the region. With the economic power comes different, a different higher level of development and higher life quality that
So I was,
we've never had, like
because you're still getting
not
there.
universally.
So I was gonna say that like what you're saying to me is that Mexico is still a developing country.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so shocking that we're going backwards in this way.
Yep. Like
Like,
you guys
just
just
reversed ourselves. We just took a
yeah,
huge step back.
yeah, like 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like hard because you live inside, like, you see things inside of a. So it's like, oh my God, they took away abortion. Like, women are not going to be able to have bodily autonomy. They're not going to be able to access the healthcare that they need. They're going to go to jail for stupid shit. But, like, the much bigger picture is that this place, the United States, is no longer like what it was. We're devolving.
Mhm. I think you are starting to realize, like you guys are starting to realize that your rights are not unmovable. Like
Sure.
they are not guaranteed forever. And then they're like tangling, you know.
Yeah. They did feel. Yeah, I definitely took for granted. Just seemed obvious. You talk to people in other countries, and you're like, and it's like, I grew up in Morocco, so I have part of my life in a developing country, so I have some idea of how ridiculous things can be in other countries feel. But it really did feel like untouchable here to a certain extent. I guess before we get to the end, I wanted to talk to you about what it looks like. I guess what it looks like when women don't have access to abortions. I remember last time we had a conversation about it, you told me that there was like, at some point, even if not right now, like sterilization of women, because even though abortion is not legal and they care about life so much, ultimately, no system can support the weight of that many children. So, what they did instead was to secretly, unknowingly to women, to some extent, sterilize them.
Yes, to indigenous women.
Can you explain briefly the how that worked?
Yeah, basically, indigenous women went to their annual, like yearly checkups, and they were implanted with the IUD, or they had surgeries performed on them without their consent and without their knowledge, so they couldn't have more kids, so there wouldn't be any more indigenous people. That's basically it.
There was like a. I have so much to say about that. It's like, first of all, I've heard this before, so it's not as shocking as the first time. Um, but so was there any consequence for that? Did those women get any kind of like reparations, like lawsuit money, like?
That was known for, like that was of popular knowledge, no. I cannot tell you like 100% no, nothing happened. But I remember that I heard the case, and most, like, not most, but a lot of people heard about it, but we never heard what came after that. We just saw the interviews of women being like, I had the IUD and I didn't know, and I first learned about it when I had an infection and it had to be removed. That's all we saw, but we never saw any sort of statement, or
That's
I
interesting
can look it
because
up for you.
Mexican people fight so hard for specific rights, but then on other things they just are complacent like us. They just kind of like it
Yeah,
goes into the news cycle and it gets lost.
we are very racist. Like, as a society, we are very racist against indigenous people. So it makes sense for me. I'm not justifying it. I'm just
Justifying.
justifying that. I'm not justifying it, but it makes sense for me that um, some states trying to eradicate its indigenous population does not make as much noise as other news. It's extremely heartbreaking and it's extremely infuriating, but I cannot tell you that it comes out of nowhere, that we don't remember that or that we don't pressure on that topic that much.
I saw a post or something that said that, like, open your eyes. This is about control, blah, blah, blah. But oh, it was that older white lady. I posted her video the other day. Did you watch it?
I don't think I watched it.
And basically, she said that, like, white people are noticing that the white population is going down and they want more white people. And she was like, 60% of abortions are had by white people. And so they want to eliminate the option for white people to get abortions so that they have to have more kids. It just makes me think, like, something like that is nothing is impossible at this point. Like, sterilizing of, like, black and brown people. Like, my immediate thought is that they want them to have more, or the government or whoever wants them to have more kids so that they'll never be able to get under the pressure of poverty. Because the more kids you have, the more you have to work. Like, you don't have enough time to rise up, basically, rise above it. And but then it doesn't even occur to me that, like, oh, maybe they'll find a way to stop them from being able to get pregnant while forcing white people to get pregnant, essentially. Do you think that Mexico will at some point be completely legalized for abortion?
I cannot tell you that it will be on the near future because I don't see it. But I think 80% of Mexico can have like legal abortion. I'm not gonna say 100% because there are some states that are like a whole generation, like two whole generations would have to die before it gets
But so is there ever a
approved.
point, is there any laws that are for all of Mexico, or every single law is state by state?
Not really. The generals, for example, the human rights and they are federal, and this the that people cannot be prosecuted for having an abortion is federal. Like, it's a federal law. It comes from the federal constitution. But each state has its own constitution, and as long as this state's constitution does not directly contradict the federal constitution, they have some grounds to legislate in their own interests,
Can
like
you
it does in the U.S.
can you read me the federal law that
Yeah,
is
yeah. Give me a second because I had to find it. But yeah.
yeah, sure. The one that says that women can't be prosecuted, that one.
Yeah.
This light is a weird color. I don't know if this is my good side or my bad side. Oh, now I'm in the dark.
Okay. Okay, so we had an Article 196 established that Article 196 from Coahuila, which is a state, established, the state's constitution, established that any woman or person that voluntarily has an abortion, or someone who performs an abortion with the consent of the pregnant person um, goes to jail, basically. Like they get a penalty,
So the woman and the doctor.
the woman and the doctor. This was on a state constitution. So how it works is that you take the case from the state to the Supreme Court, to the Supreme Federal Court, and they decide. And um, all 10 judges, like it was unanimous, all 10 judges decided that was not constitutional. So mm, they say under statement that, okay, every article that applies basically a penalty, is that how is it called? Every article that applies a penalty to women for having an abortion or to people who are performing abortions voluntarily up to the 12th week are not going to be prosecuted. So every federal and local judge is mandatorily has to oblige to this.
It sounds like abortion is legal in Mexico.
It's not legal, it's not prosecuted because it's different. Legal would mean that everybody has access to free, like everybody has universal access to free abortions if they want to.
No, that doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, it in
Because
Mexico.
it was legal here, but not everybody had free access because it costs $500 to get an abortion and the government will not pay for it. It's like
Yeah,
very
it's
important. The government is like, we're not using our fucking money to pay. They have insurance for people who are poor and can't afford it, but it doesn't cover that. You have to find the money for an abortion. And
no.
so what I'm saying is it was legal here. There was no penalty, but you still had to find a way to do it.
Okay.
So for me, illegal means there is a consequence, a legal consequence for getting an abortion. So you said up to 12 weeks.
Hmm.
What about after 12 weeks?
Then it is penalized
By what?
by law.
Thanks, asshole. Like 5 years
You
in
go
jail?
to jail.
Yeah. For how long?
It depends on the state
Mm.
and the conditions. Okay, now, yeah. Despenalizado means that you are not able to get prosecuted, but legalizado, which means basically legal, is that it is you are able to have an abortion performed at a public healthcare center. So yeah, despenalizado means not prosecuted. Legalizado means you have access to it from the state,
In Mexico, abortion is not penalized.
not penalized. Mhm.
So actually, you guys are ahead of us now.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. So an abortion after the 12th week or the 14th week puts the no worries, puts the mother's life at risk. So that's considered bad practice. That's why it's not practiced after that.
Mm. 12 weeks, that's like 4 months pregnant. It's like halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for chatting with me. I think that we touched on some important things. I don't think we've solved all the world's problems, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I think we need a little bit more time to do that, but yeah.
What do you mean? It went from day to night.
It went from day to night in your city. In my city, it was night the whole time.
Yeah. What are you going to do now?
Um, Grab some tea and then sleep, probably.
It's very cinematic now.
Yeah.
Um, I just feel like I don't know if there's anything else I want to make sure that I ask you. I just wish there was something I could say that would make people see that, like, I mean, already I think it's very powerful that you said you guys are better off than us. I think that people think that in Mexico everything is so much worse there. We're so much better off in America. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
um, that's a terrible stereotype, but I think that it is going to affect people when they find out that illegal doesn't mean um, uh, penalized.
Mhm.
You know, I think that that's amazing.
I think the only thing is that Americans think that they are so far developed because they have more money, and that's true. They have more money. Like the average, the income of an average American is way higher than the one of a Mexican. But with that also comes that you don't care about anyone but yourself. Like there's little support within your communities. The and I'm talking as an outsider. The only movement that I've seen kind of grown and stay there for a while is the BLM. That's it. And they have been historically marginalized since they arrived to the United States. So I understand, like we relate much more to the BLM movement, I think.
I mean, gay people, like,
Ah, yeah, gay people,
yeah, I feel like the
the whole.
LGBTQ uh, community is like very strong and they fight together for their rights in a way that creates change. And you see, like, you know, there's like free HIV testing everywhere, and you can go to a clinic for that. Like, you know, it's really amazing what they did to take care of each other in that
Mhm.
regard.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're kind of bringing up a really strong point that, like, essentially privilege strips people of community, or when the more affluent and privileged people become, the less close and like the less supportive they need to be, I guess. We'll just call it
Mhm.
a need.
Yeah.
Um, so actually, we really don't care about each other. We just like are stronger together than apart. But once we have enough money, bitch, bye. Bye. I don't want to see
Kinda,
your face anymore.
kinda, yeah.
Te quiero.
Yo también te quiero mucho.
I love you. Thank you for
I
doing
love
this
you.
with me again.
Thanks for letting me shower today.
um, okay. Well, have a good night and enjoy your tea.
You
I'll talk
too.
to you soon.
Ciao,
Love you.
ciao.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.